Hey everybody, Eric from Hit Subscribe here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to plan a post for your blog that will bring in search traffic, what's called organic traffic. And this is going to be kind of a 101 introduction to this topic. So if you'd like to learn more about how to plan posts for your blog that will bring in traffic in ways other than you sharing them with your friends and family, stay tuned, we're going to do that. In this tutorial, I will be doing kind of a basic treatment of a number of topics. There are more advanced topics that I will at times abbreviate and give you just enough to understand them without going into depth. With any of those topics, if you would like more information about them, leave me a comment about those, and I will I'll prioritize making a video about them. I generally will probably eventually make videos about all of these topics, but it would always be useful to know what people find helpful, so I can, prioritize those, maybe do those first. So if you see an abbreviated topic and you would like more information on it, just let me know. All right, now before we get started, let's talk prerequisites, since that is literally what prerequisites means. Let's do that. So what do you need in order to follow along with this tutorial? The answer is not much. The first thing is philosophical. You need to have sort of a general universe of topics that you'd like to talk about on your blog. You need a theme. You can't really just write one article that's about recipes and another that's about cars or something and hope to rank. Maybe eventually. Anyway, but don't do that. And then number two, there is a tool called Keywords Everywhere. It is a Google Chrome and I believe a Firefox extension. So briefly, if you were to, I have it installed already, but if you just go to install Keywords Everywhere, it will take you to a site and you can install for Chrome or install for Firefox. So that's real easy. But in order to follow along with everything I'm going to do here, you should install and activate that browser extension. So that is the prerequisites. If you want this for download, leave me a comment, because I'm not going to put it up on Hit Subscribe's site unless people actually want it. But you can have this template for download if you'd like. But I'm going to walk you through a template here that is how I capture and plan blog posts for Hit Subscribe, for my site, Dead Tech, which is what we're going to be looking at today, for all of Hit Subscribe's clients, etc. So this is my go-to planning spreadsheet, and I'm going to walk you through here the things that I capture in it. So I've got that up on the screen. And first of all, we've got the title. This is obvious. It is the title of the blog post. The next thing that we have here is, so post type is kind of a complicated thing if you really dive into it, but in the broadest of terms, what post type means is that when you go and look at blog posts on the internet, you will have some that are what is it posts. If you Google something like DevOps, you'll see a lot of posts that are like, what is this DevOps thing? So that's a what is it post. There is the venerable how-to post, which is, how to get started with this, how to, install that for your computer, etc. There are also so-called guide posts that might walk you through making a purchasing decision, something like that. There are tips and tricks kind of posts, like 50 tips to improve your whatever, so on and so forth. This is what I mean by post type. Again, this is an advanced topic. We actually have, as part of Hit Subscribe's offering, what we call a post portfolio that outlines how many of each different post type you should have, as well as calling out those post types. Not going to do that here because it's going to flood your poor brain with too much information. Next column in here is persona. Persona is who is reading this blog post. The more specific, the better. Where we usually, when working with Hit Subscribe's clients, we kind of land on a persona being like web developer or IT manager or something like that. So you can sort of picture a person that you want to read the post. Now, I should say, the fact that you have a persona in mind doesn't mean that other people who aren't that persona wouldn't read the post. It's just that this is kind of who you're writing to. Because from a blogging perspective, if you are literally picturing a human being that you are writing the post to, you are going to write better posts, I promise you. So that's why I say the more specific, the better. Put a persona in there, like web developer or stockbroker or something. But then if you're going to write this post, in your mind, have like an actual person like Nancy or Steve that you know who is of this persona, and then talk to Nancy or Steve. The next up is mission. This is in some ways the most complex to explain, but I will give it just a brief treatment. Again, this is a topic we could probably do an abbreviated, expanded video on later. The mission is when you've got Steve or Nancy reading the blog post, what is it you want them to do when they get to your blog post? Because if you don't think this through, typically the answer to that question is, well, not so much what do you want them to do, but what will they do? They will read your blog post and then close the browser, which can be okay, especially if they're becoming followers of yours. But you want to have a broader goal in mind than people just wander by your site, read a blog post, and leave and never come back. Like, that's not especially useful. So goals might include things like, if this is a commercial kind of endeavor, like say on Dead Tech where I sell a book, maybe I want to write a blog post where organic searchers come into the site, they really like the blog post, and then at the bottom I say, hey, I've got a book, it's only $9.99 for the ebook. Maybe they buy it. So getting someone to buy something can be the mission of a post. Mostly I wouldn't recommend that, simply because buying from a content marketing perspective, and we've done some videos at the top right if you want to see that, but buying from a content marketing perspective is a trust relationship, and you're probably not building trust in a single blog post. So mission will often be things like have a call to action at the bottom to get them to sign up for your newsletter, or offer them some more related or popular posts to click through so they read more of your stuff. Maybe it's a trial download, or maybe you have a white paper that if they give you their email address, they can have. Things like that. That's the mission. Estimated publication date is the next thing. Hopefully that doesn't require much explanation. This sheet is an editorial calendar, a content calendar, so you should be keeping in mind when you're going to publish stuff, and preferably doing that with a cadence. Keyword we will get to in more detail in a bit, but that is basically the thing that people are typing into Google when you are hoping to bring them into your site. Okay, now these next few items that come after keyword in the spreadsheet, we've got volume. Volume is how many people are searching for that keyword. That is why you need Keyword Keg, because you will not know that just by staring at Google and intuiting the answer. The next thing after volume is difficulty. Difficulty is an abbreviated topic that I can and will expand on later. That is a hard thing. One of the harder things for you to figure out when you first start planning is how hard will it be to rank if I do this. That is a very nuanced topic. I will give it a brief treatment as we go. After that is SERP opportunity. SERP opportunity is not as complicated, though I could probably do a broader search on it. Let me just briefly show you what I mean by SERP opportunity. So if we go to google.com and we type in, let's see, worst DevOps mistakes. This is what I call, when I'm planning, total SERP opportunity. It means, because this is not, if you look up here, it's a zero volume term, not a lot of people are targeting it, so it doesn't have what you would think of as SERP features. This is total SERP opportunity. It means that if you write for this term, you have 10 out of 10 spots, a lot of spots, what's called above the fold, which is this first thing that you see without scrolling down. So think of SERP opportunity as real estate on the search engine page. This one has total. If you just Google DevOps, this is not great, because now if you're trying to rank for this term, above the fold there are literally 0 entries, and that's because Google is trying to answer your questions without you having to click on anything. So you have to scroll down to get to the actual search engine or search entries, and now you've got this stuff in here, videos. It's probably top stories. So this is a very limited search SERP opportunity page. So basically, going back to our general discussion and treatment of this, SERP opportunity is kind of how much real estate is available for you to get into that top search page of ranking. And then finally, remarks is remarks. Just any notes that I have about the blog post. Is kind of like the miscellaneous comments section. So that's it. That is what we're working with. Our goal is to fill out this sheet. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to cover here, and we'll go into the browser, is finding a good search term. Now, I have my blog, deadtech.com. It's called Stories About Software. Over the years, this has been a blog about software and then later consulting. And so the topics that I cover here are sort of software related, the business of software, becoming a consultant in the software space, etc. So let's say that I want to write a blog post for DeadTech and I want it to rank. How do I go about doing that? Another abbreviated topic that you can let me know, comment if you want me to dive into more in a future video. Finding things, picking things for your blog, like universes, clusters of topics, not an easy thing, but we're going to sort of shortcut that a little here and say like, well, okay, let's say that I want to think of a topic like consulting skills. Maybe I don't want to talk about this exactly, but if I look at consulting skills here on the screen, it's doing 2,900 searches per month. That's a pretty good number to target. If I can beat out experience.com here, I can, have these 2,900 people a month getting my site getting first crack at their attention. That's a good amount of traffic. So that could be something that I search for. But it's going to take a little finagling and thinking of things like, because actually, you don't know this, but I do. I actually already have a post on my blog that addresses consulting skills. So when it comes to picking a topic, you got to hunt around a little bit. Keywords everywhere is a godsend for this. So you can start to look at people also search for over here on the right. And this is really a great thing to have at your disposal. So consulting skills training, and then you see the volumes here. Let's see, consulting skills. So there's all kinds of things that you can search for. And then you can look around for other terms as well and kind of get a feeling for volume. So this one, consulting model, I don't have a post. That's an interesting one. Consulting model, only 590 searches, which isn't as many, but it might be easier. And in my case, I don't have a blog post about consulting model. In fact, I don't really even know exactly what that means. So that might make for a good topic. Let's go with that one for the sake of this video and kind of not dragging things out too far. Briefly, there's the Suval. So if I type consulting skills in here, this is an interesting tool that you can use in addition to Keywords Everywhere that will also give you suggestions. And then you can rely on Google Suggest as well for some of this. So like just right there, Google Suggest is telling me about this other stuff. Anything you see in Google Suggest is a thing that people are searching for, even if Keywords Everywhere is telling you that it has a 0 volume. Google doesn't suggest things unless they have data suggesting, unless they have data indicating that people do search for those terms. So Keywords Everywhere is an estimation. It's a great one. It's a valuable tool for evaluating relative traffic, but it is just estimating. The search engines and their suggested search features are a better authority. I will also round out, the hunting around section of this video for topics by saying that if you have other tools like Ahrefs or Moz, you can use those as well. Not going to cover those. Those are expensive. Let's go to filling out this spreadsheet, which is how I do my planning. So we've got this search term, consulting model. So the first thing I do is I go and I fill in the keyword, which is consulting model. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to fill in its volume. The reason that I fill in the volume is that it's kind of helpful as you're looking at your buffet of posts that you will build out here to know which terms you're targeting that are going to go after high volume, perhaps kind of difficult terms to rank for, versus low volume, easier terms to rank for. Those two, by the way, do tend to have an inverse relationship because you kind of want to mix it up. You don't want, unless you have like a high authority, your Microsoft or something, you don't want to chase only high difficulty, high volume terms because you're not always going to rank for those. So at any rate, it's helpful to see that here and to see your different strategy and post portfolio played out. So consulting model, I recorded that already. That does 590 searches a month. As I mentioned, for this video, I am going to not focus on the difficulty. What I will do is, so I can look at this and say off the top that this is probably a moderately easy ranking. You're going to have to take my word for that. So I record this as being a moderately easy search. And then the SERP opportunity, we have nothing above the fold But then once we're below the fold, it's kind of a bunch of articles until you get down to this stuff at the bottom. As an aside, when you are trying to rank, if you're a blogger trying to rank, you start to think of this stuff as garbage in SERP, even though as a searcher, it's actually pretty helpful. So there isn't really much SERP garbage until the bottom. So it's a problem at the top, then it's good, then there's a little thing at the bottom that's not really a problem. So I generally call this somewhat open. It's not as if this is interspersed with, so this DevOps one is a good example. I would call this limited, because you've got everything above the fold and then there's like stuff in the middle, not a lot of opportunity for attention there. This isn't like that. There's stuff at the top and then it's just results and then stuff at the bottom, so that's easier. Now that is all I do in terms of recording, I guess, kind of the metrics of the potential topic. So now what we've got here is the skeleton of then fleshing out a topic. Believe it or not, the rest of the things here are informed by the keyword and by these pieces of data. So it's this that drives us in terms of thinking of an actual title and a persona and post type and mission and all that. What I'm now going to do is look at what's called search intent. And search intent is simply this. It's the idea that every search, whether a searcher explicitly puts it in or not, searchers are always asking a question. Now, they might be asking, what is a consulting model? Or what are some examples of consulting model? And so on and so forth. You don't really know that from the shorthand typing consulting model, but you can infer that based on what Google chooses to rank for this search. And the reason I say this is because Google is constantly trying to understand what people are searching for so they can serve the best results. So they're moving things up and down and always trying to give searchers the best possible answer to their question. And so it's this kind of ongoing experiment. And eventually what will float up to the top is the thing that most people click on and read and enjoy when they search for a consulting model. So in order to figure out what to write about, we have to look at what's being successful right now. Reinventing the consulting business model. Consulting models will be transformed. Reinventing the consulting business model. What is that, a syndication? 3 emerging business models in consulting. The business model of consulting approaches to consultation for basic models. Okay, so this is, and as an aside, again, won't go into it too far, this is a relatively easy SERP. I can tell because of sort of the scatter of topics that are covered. Google hasn't definitively found out what people are searching for when they search this. So there's 2 themes that are emerging here. One is what are different models of consulting, and the other being what is the business model of consultancy. So you'll notice that these are framed in the form of questions. What are some consulting engagement models, and what is the business model for consulting? Both of those ask questions. So that starts to inform our post type. So this is going to be a what is it post. That's what people seem to want. Now, based on the SERPs, that's also how you kind of fill in the post persona. Who is probably going to be searching for this? My guess is, and just for the purposes of this video, let's say that this is right, new consultants, probably freelancers. Now, what I can do is, once you're starting to think of a title and like the meat of a post, you're going to take in mind your post type, persona, and the search term, and start to think about how that's going to relate to your blog. So Dead Tech is about software and consulting and developer empowerment. A lot of my readers are freelancers or aspiring freelancers. So in this case, I'm going to want to hew, I think, less towards what is the business model of a consulting agency and what are different models of consulting. So let's call it picking a consulting model, engaging with your clients. So this is answering kind of the what is it. It's a little bit of an implicit answer and it's a little bit how-to-y, but it still kind of answers the what is it idea of consulting model. And then last up, we are going to fill in the mission. And so again, taking the example of Dead Tech, all I've really got on the back end commercially is a book. I'm not really actively trying to lure people in and sell them stuff, so to speak. A lot of clients are, though. If you're doing this commercially, that's exactly what you want to do. So let's assume that I were. If I'm thinking of picking a consulting model, none of my books really address this. Developer Hegemony, I've got a couple of others that I sell. But if I write about this and I bring in searchers and try to sell them a book, it'll be a little weird because the book isn't really like how to consult. So I might say attract organic searchers and then get them to read additional content that's more developer empowerment focused. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm saying if I'm going to draw people in with this post, my goal is to maybe reference some other posts on my blog, either with soft anchor text links inline, or maybe a call to action at the bottom that says, hey, if you like this post, I've written these other topics, and maybe direct them to posts where those posts are more related to the books that I'm selling, and then get them reading that, where it's kind of like, hey, if you like this, I do have a book that you might be interested in checking out. That's going to do it here. This is basically, in a nutshell, how I go about taking something from kind of a general nebulous topic idea to an actual planned out blog post. And some of the keys here are, you don't just want to write about whatever you feel like. You want to get some of these tools installed, and you want to start to look for topics just kind of by poking around, by using Suval or Google Suggest or keywords everywhere. You want to poke around and see what's of interest to your audience. That's the key to organic search. If you don't do that sort of thing, you're basically just writing op-eds, and they're never going to do anything via organic traffic because nobody is out there Googling for, what Todd or Jane or whoever you are watching this thinks of stuff. Like, people are not Googling for your opinions. They're Googling for solutions to their questions. So, big takeaway number one is when you are planning posts for your blog, if you want them to bring in search traffic, you need to go to your audience. You need to figure out what questions they are asking. Number two, you need to look at those questions and start to put them together in terms of data. Roughly speaking, how many people are searching for this? How hard will it be to get my post in front of them on that front page of the search results? So that's thing number two that you want to be thinking of. And then I guess big takeaway number three is once you've got that skeleton in place, you are using that data to inform the things you think of as maybe core to planning right now, which is like title, persona, mission, etc. That you're actually using the user's search intent to tease out what those things should be rather than just thinking of them whole cloth. So that's a look at the process that I follow. It is a good one. It's proven. We have had results with a lot of clients. So do that for yourself. Give it some time because things can take anywhere from a few weeks to months to even years to rank, depending on how established your site is. This will not be an instant recipe for success. But if you build out this sheet, if you execute it, you will start to see these posts ranking and bringing you traffic over the course of time. So hopefully that has been helpful. We will be doing a lot more videos on kind of the how-tos of starting running a blog. So give us a subscribe if you are so inclined and you want to see content like that. If you liked this video, it would be great if you could throw us a like. And then finally, put in the comments any of the kind of abbreviated things I've mentioned that you'd like to see elaborated on if you want me to prioritize. Otherwise, I will keep making these videos in whatever order I feel like. So, as always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.